I need to ask you because we got some non combat sports related stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
reminded me of Christian McCaffrey, dude.
Yeah.
You know what? I almost want to wait and ask you. Screw it.
Yeah.
I'm recording already. I'll ask you
Oh,
anyway. I won't
okay.
include
Yeah,
that
please.
part about our friend.
Yeah.
I have Christian McCaffrey on my fantasy football team.
Oh, congratulations.
and
That's great.
he went thermonuclear. How stoked are you
Yeah.
to have a guy like that on the 49ers? And like, how much of it?
Yeah.
Because to me, I mean, he had a breakout game, but a lot of times, if you're just going by fantasy football scores, I'll see a guy who has like a crazy score on a week and think like, oh, his team must have balled out, and then his team like
Right.
just got destroyed. Like it does
Yeah,
not
it's-
equate to
yeah,
real life at all.
Especially in the like a PPR league.
Yeah.
You don't want the guy's team to do well. You just don't. It doesn't really matter. You want them to be down by 30.
Yeah.
Or you just don't want, oh, I don't want to say 30, but you want them to be down like, 17.
Yeah. You want your run like you
a
want
good
your
amount of time.
your bell cow running back to be on a good team that gets a lead early so that they just
Yeah.
keep running the ball, stuff like
Right.
that. Game
Yeah.
script is very, very important. But
Yeah.
forecast for me as a little bit as a big 49ers fan, like what this Christian McCaffrey trade probably means for the team going forward, like playoff bound, like, I don't know.
I
Yeah.
mean, they would have been, and I'm super biased, but they have a very good roster. Super hurt. If you look at their roster right now, of the guys that are coming back that have been injured, they have almost 10 guys that are Pro Bowl caliber players that just haven't played in this half of the season, and it's really bad. Team captains, guys that are like a guy like Aziz Al Shair, who's very like low key. A lot of people probably wouldn't. I'm sure you probably wouldn't even know. That guy's like a glue guy who really, like, they can't just do without. They had a guy who was an All Pro inside linebacker, Fred Warner, who's like their defensive captain. He was out last year, and Aziz just took his spot, and you did not notice. And if anything, he played 100% better.
Wow.
There's Eric Armstead, who's been on the team since before Kyle Shanahan's been there, who's got kicked inside D tackle. He's been out with plantar fasciitis for like 4 games, and you could just tell it's really hard for them to do anything. So I don't want to shit all over Christian McCaffrey just because I'm someone who doesn't. I don't, and like I'm someone who I'm not sure if anyone who listens. They're probably mostly Valley people from like Fres. A big like Valley high school football team, Central here, from Fresno, played on ESPN, and they played against a team from Denver.
Oh, really?
And they're like, oh yeah, but Central, they're just crazy. And then anyone from Fresno, especially back when Christian McCaffrey was in high school, Central was wild because they could take everybody from anywhere because it was just such a huge school. Tons of any kid that was anywhere decent would just go to Central, and they were just amazing. And they were playing on ESPN, and Christian McCaffrey Molly fucking whopped them on you. And they're like, oh, Ed McCaffrey's son, who Ed McCaffrey played wide receiver for the Niners, who played for Denver. Why that means anything is Ed McCaffrey was a wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers when Kyle Shanahan, the current coach, was the ball boy because his dad was the offensive coordinator. Kyle watched Ed play every day because he was the ball boy, so he was watching the way Ed McCaffrey played and modeled himself after Ed McCaffrey, wore number 87 as a wide receiver at Texas University, modeled his game, played slot wide receiver like Ed McCaffrey, and said, I want to be like this guy, just his work ethic, smart, everything. Ed went to Denver, played wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's dad, won Super Bowls. John Elway, absolutely amazing. Kyle was there too. Kyle Shanahan babysat Christian McCaffrey. So he's like tailor-made for this guy's system. Because Christian McCaffrey, his like early years of understanding football was watching his dad play inside the offense that Kyle Shanahan's dad created. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
they just understand. So they just
Yeah.
understand the
He's
way it
baked
works.
into that system already.
Right. So it's cool. He's amazing. It just you have to stay healthy. They gave him quite a bit. He gets a huge amount of money for running backs. They have a lot of guys that are key guys that I mean, we've seen guys like Raheem Mostert, who's with Miami right now,
Yeah.
had this insane run. Jeff Wilson, who they just traded,
To
was
Miami,
awesome.
yeah.
Matt Breida, I think he's with the Giants now. He had absolutely amazing runs with this team. There's just a list goes on and on and on with this particular offense. Arian Foster with the Houston Texans back in the day. You remember Arian Foster?
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
You say the words back in the day, it's probably before my time.
Yeah, the guy was an amazing talent. Transferred from Tennessee, and then he moved around. I can't even remember where he ended up. Or he went to Tennessee. He just transferred everywhere. Late round guy, undrafted, and Kyle Shanahan as offense coordinator. Just the guy had Hall of Fame numbers up until he got injured. Almost anybody can really, not anybody, but they can scout running backs and they just go. So Christian's amazing, absolutely amazing. So stoked to have him. But when they signed him, I was like, oh man, like damn, they got to sign this guy. They got to really build the offensive line. They gave up.
You're concerned about the picks that they gave up.
The meat of the deal is they do really well in those rounds that they gave up in, and they need center, they need guard, they probably need another tight end, and they've gotten running backs in those rounds that are just absolutely insane. So, and they've given up a lot of picks to get the quarterback who's hurt right now. So it's like, damn, And then you're looking at the Rams, who give up tons of picks, who took on tons of salary. And they won their Super Bowl last year, but they're going to be dog shit for 5-6 years because of what they've done. They've kind of leveraged it. So, but I think, you can get really with the salary, you can get really like creative and move stuff around to get the guys you need. And they'll probably just end up going free agency for the next 2 to 3 years.
I gotta ask. You mentioned the quarterback position. I don't even remember the guy who has the starting job now, but who's injured. But given how Jimmy G looked, at least last week, I didn't watch the week before.
Sure.
But what are his chances at holding on to that job if he has a chemistry with Christian McCaffrey? As soon as the other guy comes back and Jimmy's out.
Yeah. The other guy, I would be way more stoked if the other guy was playing, just because of the threat of him running, Christian McCaffrey running, and then Deebo Samuel off somewhere like on a jet sweep. So you have literally a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback that can throw it 70 yards in the air. He can hold the ball out. Am I going to let Christian McCaffrey fucking run it? Am I going to pull it? Am I going to run it? Am I going to pull it? Am I going to run it? Are you going to follow me? And are you going to let Deebo run? Are you going to let Christian McCaffrey slip out the back? Like, that's crazy. Jimmy G's like, okay, I'm either going to hand it off or I'm going to throw it. So, I mean, he's great, but.
Is Deebo a deep threat guy? Because I actually have Deebo on my fantasy team also, and he seemed like he was more like playing midfield. Or doing some running, but like, is this potentially going to hurt my numbers for Deebo Samuel having?
I think Deebo was like a hedge. I think last year it was indicative of his talent and absolutely amazing. It's not like you can't really fluke what he did, but at the same time, and a good thing about having him is he doesn't need a lot to get his points. You basically need to give him the ball 3 yards from where he is, and he can do everything else, which is amazing. But he's definitely not a deep threat, definitely not even really a possession guy. He catches a lot with his chest. If you watch, he kind of like alligator arms things. He doesn't so much high point balls, like stab at the ball and take it, which he can and he's done. But the majority of the time he likes to get hit in the chest while he's on the run and get out into the flat and make a move. He doesn't really like to run and then adjust to the ball in the air. He could do it, but that's not his thing. So I would say it would definitely it is going to hurt his production just because his carries are going to go down, because Elijah Mitchell, who was their starting running back last year, who did absolutely amazing. Again, 7th round pick, Louisiana Lafayette. A lot of people don't know who that guy is. If he would have been healthy, would have ran for 12 to 1,300 yards. When he came back after getting injured in the beginning of the year, they won like I think 7 or 8 games in a row when he came back, and he just boom, 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 5-6 yards per carry. Absolutely fucking insane. The guy's so fucking fast. And now he's coming back. He'll be back after the bye. So that's going to take carries away from Deebo, which you really don't want to give him carries. But So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I guess on paper, yeah, you would be afraid that it would take stats away from, or his stats, his touches away from him.
Mm.
And also they have a great, who I think is a better wide receiver is Brandon Ayuk. He's a better pure wide receiver, who's been coming on. I think he has like a touchdown per game the last 4 or 5 games, and he's an absolutely insane deep threat, mid threat. He runs routes as clean as anybody on the team. George Kittle, who's their tight end, who's a very good tight end, better blocker than tight end, which sounds catching tight end, which sounds crazy because he's one of the better receiving tight ends in the league. He's been healthy, so it's going to be rough.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. I hope I win my championship.
I think
finally.
the best thing going for you is that as the Debo owner, is that Jimmy's the quarterback. Because Trey Lance, who was their quarterback, who's amazing, by the way, huge fan of his, was more of an Ayuk guy because Ayuk was a mid to deep ball threat where he can track the ball in the air, can kind of move and adjust to back shoulder throws, where Debo's more of a catch it and run, where within, you can hand the ball off to him, swing it out of the backfield or 3 to 7 yards from the line of scrimmage, catch it and run. That's what Jimmy does. Timing, get the ball out fast, get you running, get you with a full head of steam. Where Trey Lance like to 1, 2, 3, watch, let you run, and then throw you open. Where Debo's not a throw open guy. So the best thing going for you is that Jimmy's the quarterback right now.
Yeah, because it seems like Debo does his work with his legs. He wants to get the ball, and then he wants to cut a route.
Yeah. It's rough. Yeah. It's rough, too. And it's one of those things where, as cynical of a fuck as I am, the way that he plays is ridiculous. Like, he earned the name Debo because he's just – it's wild. Because he turns and he's like, oh, where's my bitch? Where's my bitch? There's my bitch. And then he runs right at the dude's fucking chest. And it's like, God, dude, just like – or like 4 guys on him. He'll turn around and he'll keep fucking walking with like 4 guys on him, and like that's putting so much stress on his legs, his joints. It is. So it's like, God, dude, just fucking go down. Have you ever seen Tyler Lockett with Seattle?
Yes,
I'm sure you've heard of him, right?
Also on my team.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay, this guy, he probably, if he catches 10 balls, he legit gets tackled twice.
Oh, wow.
He'll catch the ball, he turns, he looks, he'll like make a little move. If he can't crease, he just lays down. He'll just go out of bounds. He'll catch a slant. There'll be one safety dead on with him. He knows he doesn't have the angle, and it's a hard ass safety. He just goes down. I don't give a fuck. You're not fucking touching me. It's pretty crazy that if the juxtaposition of those two guys, of their styles, is insane. But
one
Tyler
has a
Lockett,
sense of self-preservation.
Guarantee you, Tyler Lockett hasn't even been hurt this year. He probably hasn't even been on your injury report at all, right? If I can.
Well, I grabbed him off waivers a few weeks ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
We're a small league, so it's always easy to find guys off waivers. But
yeah, he was one of my big time favorite guys coming out. I think it's Kansas State coming out. I love guys like that. Love guys like him. Really sucked that he went to Seattle. I hated that. Like, I remember when Doug Baldwin went to Seattle. I love Doug Baldwin out of Stanford. It really sucked. And then Tyler Lockett went over there. He's amazing. I remember seeing him as a punt returner. If I'm not mistaken, it's Kansas State, and just absolutely insane. I love guys from Kansas State for whatever reason. But
cool. Well, I'll have to give you an update on the next episode. Well, the night.
But roundabout answer, yes, absolutely. Christian McCaffrey's one of the top running backs in the league. For me, as someone who it's crazy because if you talk to our friend, I don't even really, the games are just kind of like, okay, this is cool. I enjoy it. It's just way more anxiety than I like. I prefer when it's like a week out from the draft, and I can just go back to college football, what I saw in college football, who I would like them to pick. Can they restructure? Who are they going to sign in free agency? Do they have money for this? See, that I enjoy that way more than the games on Sunday. Yeah. As weird as it sounds.
I don't think I would be as into mixed martial arts without a lot of the the bureaucracy and drama and all that stuff too. That doesn't even necessarily directly involve.
See, I don't even like the bureaucracy of the mixed martial arts. So I'm super into the bureaucracy of football. Hate the bureaucracy back and forth of mixed martial arts. Outside of like maybe one or two guys, I enjoy like seeing their stories.
Yeah, I like when it's good. It's certainly bad. Yeah. There's low points to it, but when it's done well, and when I kind of feel like a promotion is actually going out on a limb and trying to do something instead of just Bellator just putting on another card and hoping people just miraculously start watching for no reason.
Hey guys, we're fighting against Ryzen.
Yeah,
like, exactly. Shit. God damn. Okay.
So that was the 49er minute. Thanks for tuning in. Next season it probably won't be that ever again because I'm like the wind when it comes to fantasy football. Thanks for the update on that. But before we even move on from that completely, I got to ask. You mentioned our friend. Are you doing this? Are you doing this bullshit with him too, where he's not going to watch 49er games because he didn't watch this past weekend's game?
It's crazy. And ask him. I think he gets real salty. He gets very angry, and he's like, "I'm never fucking watching this fucking team again. I'm not watching it next week." And then he will send me screenshots of shit I said. I'll go, no, don't worry about it. They're going to be fine. I get a screenshot from March of 2020 of I said this then.
I fucked up letting him know that you could now search comments in IG chats because for a while that wasn't the case. And now any excuse he can to go through and find the original quote, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. and then it's okay. And I mean, and so he almost every year he's been like, I'm not watching them this week. I'm not letting them ruin my day. And I'm like, hey, that was always allowed. You know what I mean? Very good. That's always allowed. And so then this week the Niners beat the fuck out of the Rams. Pretty much for all intents and purposes, probably in the Rams season, more than likely.
Oh wow.
Put themselves back into, I mean, at least they're in the right direction. Okay. Most importantly, no injuries, right? They had 3 penalties for 8 yards. And then the player that they made this crazy ass trade for just fucking went insane. He couldn't even watch it. So I'm just like, well, I don't know why you did that to yourself, but you can tell you're cursed. It's you, right? It's your fault.
He's not cursed. See, that's what I think you convinced him. You're the one that convinced him of that because he was you know how superstitious I am. And
he convinced himself, though, because he convinced himself. Literally every single time he said, I'm never watching again, they go out and play out of this world. We'll never see shit like that again. Super entertaining, super clean football. Absolutely the opposite thing. Their coach just not very good. At least hasn't been good at making adjustments. He kind of scripts things. If things go off that script, it's very hard for him to readjust and win off the fly. If the Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan tree is, they run the shit down your fucking throat. They run the fucking shit down your throat again. Everything goes off of play action. And then they're up by 8. They're up by 13. And that shit just keeps fucking working because but they're down 17 and it's late in the third quarter. There's really nothing he can do. Or not to say that there's nothing he can do, but then it's okay, superhero mode. Who's going to go out and do this for me? Where they really don't have the quarterback that can do that. They have the quarterback. They went and got a guy that could, but he's hurt. So now this time they were actually down going into the third quarter. It looked kind of rough going in at halftime, and he made this insane adjustment, and it's the exact opposite. And it's all the shit that our friend said, he can't fucking do that. It's fucking gross. Sending me fucking screenshots of yeah, dude, man, he's fucking 0-21 being down by 3 points in the fourth quarter. He's just, at what point do we just get rid of this coach? It's just dude. So literally everything he complained about, they did the exact opposite. The time he doesn't watch it.
I was telling him, I was like, come on, guy, really. is it you not watching that made them like play super well, or me, the total casual take? Or I was like, or is it this guy? And I sent him a picture of Christian McCaffrey. I was like, dude, we know CMC's injury prone, or at least what I've seen from fantasy football. I was like, just enjoy him while he can play. Like, don't purposely not watch these games. But I'm not a superstitious guy, so I don't know. Also, I get it. If someone is superstitious.
I for sure feel better. I feel less anxious if I know that like my daughter slept in her Niners blanket on Saturday. So I'll feel a lot better. I'll feel a lot better if I'm not wearing any type of color that the other team is in. Because I don't really wear 49ers gear that often. So, but sometimes, and then in the course of a Sunday, your dad, I go running, I go to the gym, I go shopping, I sit down, I'm watching the game, and I look, and I'm wearing blue.
Before you know it, you're like, oh shit, I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt, and we're playing the Chargers.
Much every color, pretty much every color's in there. So I feel a lot better about that. But I don't go out of my way to think like I brought this about. This is my fault. It just helps my own.
I do believe in curses, though. I definitely believe
our friend is for sure a curse. He just is. He I think, and like our friend, and I know like the overall tone of the like how he said it's just so dire. It's just like it makes me hurt in my heart sometimes because like I see how hard he's hurting, and then I don't realize the full negative, because I'm a very bright side person on anything. Like, this is fine, I'm fine.
I'm about to challenge that after we get past this topic.
Yeah, I bet you are. But then I'm like, I didn't think about it that way. Oh fuck, he's right. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's easy to forget, but there's 49er fans that are struggling out there, and we should definitely sponsor them. Like, for a small fee, you can help treat a 49er fan's depression or something.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like I absolutely love this guy. He's the best. Some of the greatest moments in like the history of the team, I've been lucky enough to be watching the game with him, and it's been so fun. I remember like there was a throw, Alex Smith to Vernon Davis, to beat the Saints and like the first year they had gone with Jim Harbaugh in the playoffs. It was like out of nowhere. There was this back and forth crazy game, and then our friend Riddell says he's going to throw the seam to Vernon Davis, and then he threw the seam to Vernon Davis, and then he caught it and he scored, and they won the playoff game. Dude, I grabbed him. I'm at the time too. I'm a lot bigger than this guy. And I have my hands around his neck, and I am just shaking him, and I didn't realize it. And my sister grabbed me and stopped me. She's like, take it easy. Dude, I was throwing him like a child, like back and forth, shaking him. And he was like spit coming out of his head. He was just, his eyes bugged out. And then he goes, nah, dude, if someone's going to do that to me, I'm glad it was you. And I was glad it was like the craziest moment ever, dude. So.
That's great. Yeah. Love the instant barbarians moments, man. That's what we watch sports for.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it's for those moments where you're next to your friend, you can like jump off the couch at something that happened. Like, when was the last time that happened with me and a friend? Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru Usman. Mike and I were watching it together. We were just both completely off the couch. Like, what? Yeah.
I was getting up to take out the trash. I was like, fuck, that really sucks for Leon Edwards. Like, where does he go from here? And then my wife's like, well, they're still fighting, like, and I was like, no, they're not. and then I look and I go, what the fuck? And I like drop the trash, and then my kid goes, what's wrong? And then I'm just like, that is fucking crazy. And then we're watching it, and then I go, no way that happened. I go, no way. So I go, no, I didn't see that. Like, that was a highlight from something else. And then I looked again, and for sure enough, he fucking kicked him in the head.
Well, let's transition to combat sports now, and let's talk about this recent boxing pay-per-view card that happened this past weekend that I watched.
Sports entertainment. Let's call it sports entertainment.
They're going sports entertainment, sure. Going under the banner of most valuable promotions. That's what that actually stands for. MVP. I should have figured. I saw it all over there. I was looking at it with the designer's eye, like, oh, that's a pretty nifty little like logo. It's just a series of anyways, I'm going to challenge your assertion that you are Mr. Brightside and make you talk about this fucking fight that happened.
The bright side of it for me is that a guy who, for as great as he was in Anderson Silva, was probably criminally underpaid throughout his career. I think that's been, and I guarantee you he got paid an insane amount of money. And then, or a good amount of money more than he would have got in probably like his last 3 fights. And then an under the table amount of money that we would never hear about. And I'm so happy for that. That's good.
I've seen some concerning numbers regarding, like, you know, people are claiming are the payouts, and I've seen people dispute them. But right now, the number that's floating around that Anderson Silva got paid for this fight, do you want to guess?
It was $500K is what I saw. Right?
Okay, you saw it already too. Then yes, $500K. But I've been seeing multiple people say that those numbers aren't accurate.
Yeah, well, but did you see a guy that we really like, who is very credible? Jack Slack posts it all the time as a joke, as just an absolute joke. He will go, and then I think if you go to his Twitter, he says, "Be careful, guys. Check your Halloween candy because people
fake payouts,
posting fake payouts are out there this tonight." And like he posted like $500K Anderson Silva, and so I was like, okay, what even does that mean? But at the same time, I just don't think that none of this sounds legit to me. It's very much WWE vibe to me. I'm pretty sure money was handed off under the table, which, you know, for certain outcomes to come to pass, and they did. And thanks again, fuck off. Thank you, bye. And then Anderson's not gonna cry. And I mean, I don't want to treat him like he's a baby. He's fucking one of the greatest fucking fighters on the planet. At one point, there was very few people on Earth that could get locked into a one-on-one fight and beat him anymore. So I'm pretty sure he got what he wanted out of it.
I think so too. I'm still curious to see what those numbers are.
Right.
I know you and I were going back and forth on the idea that the fight was fixed and like whether or not Anderson took a dive. If that number turns out to be true, I would certainly hope that Anderson didn't take a dive for $500,000 only. But
well, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like, was it 500 and like 500? Like, you know, like a crypto exchange or like a rat hole, or, you know,
who knows? But let's talk about the actual fight. Let's talk about how it played out, things that you know we expected, things that we didn't expect. I would say for the majority of the first half of this fight, it played out in about the way that I expected. It looked to me like a 25-year-old man who's been boxing for about 5 years fought
He's an A1 athlete, though. He's an insane fucking athlete.
Undeniable.
He's an insane football player.
Yeah.
He was an insane wrestler. Yeah. Basketball player.
Yeah. To me, it looked like I said, a 25-year-old guy who's been boxing for 5 years fought a 47-year-old MMA fighter who's been boxing for about 3 years. Like that's what it looked like to me, and it broke down to. And I thought that Anderson showed superior skill. He was making Jake Paul miss really bad. Like the head movement was there, and it was something that you could tell that Jake Paul has never quite had to deal with. And that's what I would say I was probably most impressed with, but with Anderson, which isn't saying a whole lot. Like he's always been really known for his head movement. But I thought it was I think what really killed him is taking that first round off. Because going back, and I was going to say going back and watching it, but I haven't rewatched it. That first fight, though, both Mike and I were kind of doing our like own little like commentary, like play by play in our group chat, and he threw 2 punches that we both saw. Like I don't know if you saw it from the very first round, but it's hard. It's difficult because nothing of note was landed by either guy there, but definitely the output was. I had to give it to Paul in that round. Yeah. So here's my thing against and I'm not even saying that I'm arguing with you on this, because I don't know how serious you were or anything. But here's my thing against the whole idea that Anderson took a dive, was just because the work that he was actually doing in the ring, it just didn't look like a guy who was going out there with the intent to lose, or who knew that he was supposed to lose the fight. He was fighting like a guy who was trying to win the fight in my eyes, but he was fighting like a guy who still has the skill advantage.
Was he fighting like a guy that was trying to win the fight, or was he fighting like the way Anderson Silva won fights? Because I've seen Anderson Silva win fights, and he never won a fight throwing looping punches, running and fucking lunging after a guy. I always saw Anderson Silva throwing very straight, very precise
counter punches.
Fucking throw his head out there, back up, and then pop. That's your chin. See you later. Yeah. Thanks again. Like, enjoy yourself. This guy was like running, shaking his head, swinging, fucking like you would have thought Jake Paul was throwing those kind of punches. Would throw those kind of punches that Anderson was throwing. And when I saw, I go, I've never seen him fight like this.
It was uncharacteristic. Yeah.
Is this something that he's done since he's been in boxing? So I went back and watched his.
Well, let me finish my breakdown, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
But to your point, though, I agree. I think he was fighting. It was a game plan that I would have said, okay, if he goes out and does this, it could potentially not be good. And when he was doing some of that shimmy shit in the second round, I was like, watch out, dude, because the one thing that I've seen is that. And I was going to say, it still looks like the skill gap is there. Like he has the advantage on skill. I think he has the advantage on reflexes still, and I think that was evident in the head movement. And I think I could probably give him the power advantage, but I think the speed isn't there for him anymore. And that's just fair. It's part of being fucking 47 years old.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost double Jake Paul's age.
Yeah.
And
that's a big. It's an undeniable thing. He wasn't like, it wasn't like tennis or golf. You know, it's fucking fighting. Like, you really need that crispy.
And if we're gonna give any credit to Jake Paul at all, we know he has power. I mean, I'm not gonna give him very much. I'll give him a smidge of credit, but not much, because at the end of we know what he's doing. Still, this is influencer boxing. Like, I'm very curious to see when he's going to actually finally fight a pro boxer who intends to make a career out of boxing. But I agree with you. That wasn't something that I was going to highlight, which is the specific strategy of Anderson Silva. But part of it is like not really knowing what Anderson Silva's strategy in boxing really is yet, because all of his fights have looked different, or the ones I've watched anyways, which were the Tito Ortiz fight and the Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, and now this fight. And
if you watch the Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, you're like, okay, he is going to murder Jake Paul. There's absolutely zero chance that Jake Paul's going to walk out of there with a face like hamburger meat. And then the way Jake was moving, you know, like the Weasel's breakdown of like, this guy's footwork is insane. He's like crossing his legs. He's like going. It was very weird.
Of Jake Paul's, he
crosses his legs. He like crossing your legs. And there is no sport that you should cross your legs, let alone fucking a sport where you have to have leverage is like everything as far as like setting up your punch and reacting. You can't, something could happen. You have to have, I don't know shit.
If you're not locking up a triangle in jiu-jitsu, you shouldn't be crossing your legs.
There should be no reason your ankles should be anywhere close to themselves. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? So to me, it was just the thing that's what just really didn't ring true to me, was like, he didn't fight. I haven't really seen him fight this way. And why all of a sudden now is he just decided, you know, like, it's kind of weird. But Anderson's done some weird shit. So, you know, it just from a straight, I guess if I put aside my cynical fuck part of it, you know, credit to Jake Paul, like the body jab was was really good. The body, the left straight to the body, or when he switched stance, the right straight to the body, which Anderson never tried to stop. He never tried stopping the body shots, which is like, why? He's scoring.
Use footwork.
He's scoring with that. Yeah, he's and then he built off of it in the later rounds, where he was body jabbing, then the left jab, and then the punch that knocked him down. he built off of that, which he was building off of in like the second, third round with the body jab. So good for Jake Paul. Fuck, he was in there with the greatest striker of all time, and he outsmarted him. And that's hey man, wow, that's great.
Yeah, and fuck, I forgot the point that I was going to make. Yeah. What time is it? 9:31. Okay. Fuck, I'm racking my brain over here. What was I going to say about this? Going back to like, this would be pure speculation on my part as to why he fought Jake Paul the way that he did. Because if you look at the Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, it was a lot different. It was not the same Anderson Silva. I think he might have probably felt Jake Paul's power, maybe, and that maybe caused him to fight a little bit differently, because he took that first round off, and that round, if you just go by what he did in that round, it probably tells us that he was trying to download the timing and the distance of Jake Paul, which would lead us to think that he's going to fight a more, a conservative counter-punching fight, which is what we would want from Anderson Silva.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But my guess is maybe he felt, okay, this kid actually has some power. I should probably just put him out. I should probably come out here and just be the offensive guy and put him away so I don't have to deal with him later in the round when I'm a tired, slowed down 47-year-old man.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess. And then that's also me coming from a place of not knowing shit about Cesar Chavez Jr. either. Yeah. I don't know if that's the guy who was known for his power. I know that everyone in the boxing world says that he was he never lived up to his potential. I don't really know what that means. It's very out of context for me as a non-boxing fan. I think that just means that people see what his dad did and expected that from him. Like, potential isn't just
champion.
I mean, I don't know what boxing's rigged though.
Yeah,
boxing is bullshit.
Okay, so I don't understand you, dude. So,
you said you were going to put this.
Chavez Jr. does that's rigged, but Jake Paul absolutely not. Way 100% above board, dude. So let's talk. So it's like I don't get that.
If I go and beat a NASCAR driver at a game of pickup basketball, am I a pro basketball player now all of a sudden? No, that's the stupidest example ever. Well, you mentioned you were going to put your cynicism aside, and I'm going to tell you to bring it back out for a minute, because I will.
That was just the funny. It was just the funny thing to me. It's like, well, Julio Cesar Chavez, who, I mean, for all of his faults, which from what I understand, there were many of them, and his dad, there's no chance you could live up. I mean,
is that his full name, by the way?
100 years.
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, I was calling him Cesar Chavez.
Years. You could live 100 years, train for 100 hours, 1,000 hours, and you could be the best fighter to grow, and you would just never be like that guy. Mm-hmm. That's just one of insane.
My dad told me the same thing.
Yeah, that's insane, because I remember as a kid, and then I remember the weird fuck that I am. I just watch all the YouTube videos I possibly can, and then all the documentaries, and then all that. It's just like, this is insane. I love those like outlier type guys. Like, I actually like to see that and know, like, okay, I could never do that. So don't feel bad. Yeah. Don't feel bad, because I could never do that. Mm-hmm. But it was just funny to me, because the guy was classically trained as a boxer. Went through I'm sure some of them were like above board, murky at best. But every fight Cesar Chavez Jr. had was 100% more legit than any fight that Jake Paul has had now, and then will fight later on.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. It was more humor, because I don't know anything about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Yeah. But I do. But I like the point I was going to try.
Well, Canelo took his soul. Like, Canelo just took his soul from him.
Didn't even know they fought.
Yeah, and then I remember he was like, he's like, your dad watches me fight. Like, and it was just like, oh fuck. And then I guess he was like on a coke bender or something like that. And then it was supposed to be like this big thing. And then
what weight did he usually fight at? Because when I saw his fight with Anderson, I thought it was like, well, this guy looks a little undersized compared to Anderson, but maybe that.
Yeah, let's see. Canelo, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Yeah, I think. Yeah, they fought on DAZN 2 years ago.
That recently.
And
Dang.
yeah, and so I mean, he didn't. And I'll tell you this: you could watch the fight. Canelo took his soul, but he deserved to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like, what is this?
He passed
You know what I'm saying?
the
Yeah.
eye
So,
test.
so that's why it was so trippy to me, because I saw the Julio Cesar Chavez and Canelo fight, and and then I remember I had seen there's a couple fights with Julio Cesar Chavez on ESPN and a couple other things that it just came around.
Mm-hmm.
Good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I mean, he wasn't his. It's just you're just not your dad.
He's never going to outlive the comparison.
Yeah, you can't. But he was a very good fighter. Then Anderson just went out and like, that's what tripped me out about Anderson. I was like, damn, that guy really is him. Like, that is fucking badass. The way he's moving, he's like the way he was moving, dancing, and it's a different rhythm. MMA and boxing footwork is just, you could box footwork, you could do that in an MMA fight, but you don't want to do too much of it, because your legs do kind of come together sometimes, and your legs come together against like a Chris Weidman, and you're going down. He's taking you down to the ground if you put your knees too close together or anything like that.
There's a reason you don't really see a shuffle step in MMA, because they'll time that shit and they're like, oh, do that again, you're going down. Like,
yeah. And the way Anderson did it was just so fluid. It was just beautiful, and he just outboxed that guy. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. And then it's like, oh, so then I'm supposed to believe that Jake Paul just all of a sudden just, I unlocked it, I got it, thank you. And like, no, I saw the guy Anderson beat fight with Canelo. Mm-hmm. It was a legit fight, like a legit, like actual legit 12 round for a title fight. And then Anderson went in and then did everything he could and more, and looked amazing. And then now he did it like this. That's why I just was like, this just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm sorry.
Didn't add up.
Yeah. It just doesn't add up.
What do you think Anderson Silva would have had to do to win a decision? Or do you think that it was possible that he was ever going to win a decision?
There's absolutely no chance.
No chance, right?
No chance.
Okay, then we are in complete agreement there.
Chance.
I think he would have to drop Jake Paul at least once in every round to be given a decision by boxing judges.
And Jake Paul would have to look visibly like the ref holding his hand, like, are you okay? Like, you know how the ref does that in boxing, where they grab your hand, they shake it out, they look at him, then they go, walk to me. And then he would have had to do that at least twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So that's always been my biggest hang up with boxing. Do you think, here's my next question.
Sure.
Do you think Anderson should have won a decision, or did what play out in the fight? Do you think, whether or not, whatever chicanery aside, do you think that decision rendered was accurate?
I mean, he got knocked down. He was the only one that got knocked down.
He was the only. That's okay. In boxing,
does
a knockdown always automatically mean a 10-8 in boxing? Because it doesn't in MMA. A knockdown.
I think in an 8 round, it weighs a lot heavier than it would in a 12.
See, because for me, I would say, and not knowing how boxing judges weigh a knockdown, because to me, when I saw that knockdown, I was like, well, he'd lost this round. But I wasn't necessarily thinking 10-8. But I can see the argument that it should have been a draw, because I honestly gave Anderson at least 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Potentially 5. And I saw him, I thought that, I mean, I wasn't expecting him to get the decision on the scorecard, because I knew if it went to decision, it's cooked. There's no way they're letting Jake Paul lose. That was probably my biggest hang up on it, because it was a battle against time for Anderson, and I feel like as he got more and more desperate and probably knew in the back of his head, well, I'm not going to win a decision, and I'm starting to go. He's starting to surge late in this fight. Then he probably started to fight with a little bit more desperation, but ultimately, those
Anderson
fights
is so much higher level of anything that Jake Paul will ever do, striking wise, anywhere. So it just does not ring true to me.
It's just too bad that he's not the GOAT anymore.
No, he's definitely
probably
not.
was never even good.
Not. He's definitely not. But he's just, from what I saw, not even like a year and a half ago. And then the guy who I saw him fight again was a year out from a crazy ass matchup, and looked amazing in. So it's like, it just doesn't. and I guess it hits you fast in MMA or striking, but it hit him real fast in MMA,
Hit him.
and it just
Yes.
yeah. So then it's like
And I was looking at his record again, his MMA record again, to kind of get a sense for
yeah,
how long things had been slipping, and they slipped back in 2013, and it never changed.
yeah,
Like his last 9 fights, I think it was 9 fights. He went like 1-7-1.
yeah.
And if I'm being completely honest, that one win that he had over Derek Brunson, when I watched that fight, I didn't score it for Anderson Silva.
It wasn't. Was it Blonde Brunson too? It probably wasn't even Blonde Brunson.
I don't remember, but probably not. Probably not. So yeah, that was that. I think there's
Also,
nobody.
the WWE shit, like the Ariel Helwani is a huge wrestling guy.
Yeah,
You know, his dick was fucking semi hard the whole time. Just knowing that he's probably thinking himself as JR from WWE, and it's Monday night, and he's that guy, and he's like, and then he goes in there and he goes, "Okay, Jake, 100% now. No one can ever doubt you because this was 100% on the level, Jake." All right, he said something to that effect, and it's like, what did he?
Ariel knowing that he's
Ariel,
going to get
come on.
rage clicks. He's rage.
Yeah,
baiting.
yeah, right. But still, that
Ever the
adds to that whole
antagonist.
thing. Yeah, that adds to the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
And then it's just like the whole Nate Diaz is there, and Nate Diaz was throwing bottles in the back, and the timing of him walking by when Jake Paul was mentioning him on the big screen, and he flipped him off. Did you see that? They're gonna fight again, Jake Paul, and it's like this.
Who like yeah. It would be so much more interesting inside a ring. I'm so less invested in any Diaz Rumble anymore because they're the hold me back champs.
Yeah.
They're never not going to throw down in a place where there's a huge crowd that will never let it be a proper throwdown fight. Like it's always just going to be chaos and everything's going to be broken up.
But it was even more scripted than even for Nate Diaz. I was like, damn, that's disingenuous even for you, dog.
I gotta say, even with Nate Diaz out there, there's truly nothing on the horizon. Like I was invested in this fight because I thought, okay, it would be great if Anderson is the guy to end this influencer like rage bait troll boxing experiment. Like I'm ready for it to stop. Whatever if it doesn't stop. Now I'm not invested anymore because I think Nate gets his ass kicked by Jake Paul. I think Nate has looked fucking horrible in the cage.
Every MMA fighter that does it, they're not going to kill it for the next guy. They don't want to be the guy that says like, oh, and then I saw with Tyron Woodley because I really thought like, okay, Tyron Woodley, great. This guy's gonna fucking kill this guy. Great. I can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. And then he was just ass up with the dude wipes, and it's like, okay, so what I'm watching is these guys know it's their retirement plan. They know there's a finite amount of guys that can come after this. There's so many people who want to keep seeing this shit. So why was Woodley gonna ruin it for Askren? Why was Askren gonna ruin it for Silva because Anderson ends this Jake Paul thing? No one wants to see it anymore. No one wants to see it. So why kill the golden goose? Why would these guys kill the golden goose? Now Nate's gonna get in there and get his filthy dick wet. Then fucking someone else is gonna, whoever at the time's gonna do it, and so on until no one wants to see it anymore. No one wants to see a Jake Paul with a 1. They want to see the guy who's gonna take Jake Paul's O. And then it's gonna be the lead up. It's gonna be the lead up, and then these fighters. It might be an unwritten rule, but it's like I don't want to choke this off for the next guy to come in because Ben needed a fucking hip replacement. It got fucking Woodley got the Cobra Kai deal from it. So it's like I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill this for the next guy. And if they all know it's this show, this Roman fucking arenas, or Roman Coliseum type of circus, why kill that off while it's hot?
I think if MMA fighters actually cared about each other that much, then there would be a union, and they wouldn't be getting raped by the UFC.
Right.
I think that's the real problem: is that the UFC is so criminally underpaying their fighters that in the twilight of their career, and when they should be retired, they're forced to be fucking prostitutes for this fucking pony show, and that's the real sad part of it.
The thing for me too is he should have never even touched Ben Askren. Ben Askren should have never even been touched.
You saying Ben Askren shouldn't have been in there?
No. Meaning Ben Askren should have whooped his fucking ass
in a boxing match.
Yes.
I'll kick Ben Askren's ass in a boxing match.
Please, dude. Come on, man. Come on, dude. One FC Bellator champion. He wrestled, but I mean, shit, dude. I mean, Ben was in there. I can't understand how people.
I don't know, man.
I'm Frank Grimes, dude.
I can't get on board with that Jake Paul statement. I mean,
you're showing
Ben
me your
Askren
daughter,
statement.
You're showing me your daughter, who's like winning all these events. There's lobsters cooking in the back. Your son owns a fucking factory downtown. You're showing me your pictures with Gerald Ford, and you went to the moon. I'm just like, I don't want to. I'm just like, what? This is insane.
I went and got some.
See this?
I went and got some groceries at the store earlier, and I wouldn't be surprised if the guy who rang my shit up could beat Ben Askren in a boxing match, dude. That guy cannot box.
I guess. No. I get it. But I get it, dude. No. I get it. But
he gets
at the same time, yeah. At the same time, it's you don't get to. Fuck it, dude. I can't. Just fuck it. I don't know. I'm glad for Anderson. I am at the end of the day, because I don't think he would have took this fight if he would have been like, nah, I'm good. My 401k is looking fine. I put some money away and I'm all right. Anderson would have never took it if he was all right. So good for him. Hopefully this helped him out of any type of for the foreseeable future with any financial things that he has. It helps, with his son's development and training, as far as money wise, and adding, helping his family through the holidays or whatever else they're going to do with it. I hope he can retire with this money and just we just forget about it. Like, remember that time he fought Jake Paul? That I hope that's what it is.
Before the fight, I haven't heard him afterwards, but before the fight, Anderson asserted that win or lose, he's not done. He still intends to keep boxing. Yeah. Any interest in a potential Roy Jones Jr. boxing match after this fight? Or
yeah, sure.
So it hasn't completely.
And watch how amazing he looks against Captain Hook, Roy Jones Jr. Watch how absolutely insane, like back in the Matrix, Anderson Silva looks.
I think. How old is Roy Jones Jr. though? I'll look it up real quick.
He's getting up there. Another one of my all-time favorites to watch, dude. Man, Roy Jones Jr. was fucking badass.
Roy Jones Jr. No, he's not 75. That is his total fight. Oh, come on. I put age. Why wouldn't you just give me his age? Don't give me the date. It's going to make me do math. Roy Jones Jr.'s 8. He's 53. So
Jesus fucking Mary.
6 years on Anderson Silva. I think that's enough for it to make it an interesting fight. But yeah. I mean, I will have to concede though, if Anderson gets in there with Roy Jones,
he's going to
absolutely looks like a phenom.
Anderson is going to look like it's going to really frustrate you, dude.
But then again, I bet the effects of aging are even compounded more. Like the difference between it's not a complete the difference between 47 and 37 is not as much as the difference between 57 and 47. You know what I mean? Like that 10 years probably means even that much more.
I can feel that. Yeah.
Maybe. Sure. We'll see. I mean, I'd be interested in that, but at this point there's not really any fights in legitimate boxing or influencer boxing that on the horizon that interest me at this point now. But we'll see. It's not going to stop. So maybe we'll talk about the next one if they pull a rabbit out of the hat and make us go, then maybe then we'll talk another like 30 minutes about it on our episode that on our Fight Plug podcast. It's supposed to be about MMA, but that's all right. It is the Fight Plug after all.
Yeah.
All right, let's break down the main event and the co-main event of this weekend's UFC Fight Night card, Rodriguez versus Lemos. We can talk about more than that if there's anything that you want to touch on, but I'm mostly interested in covering this Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Lemos strawweight fight, and then there's some an interesting co-main event in the Neil Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez fight. Quick turnaround for Daniel Rodriguez.
Talk about Arnold Allen.
Oh, what is there to talk about? What the fuck?
No, but I mean, I told you I was going to talk about Khalil Roundtree. Fuck, that fight was cool. They said he robbed the dude. I don't know. I was always happy to see Khalil Roundtree win. Do you see how fucking hard he throws things, dude?
Devastating.
That is fucking crazy. Like, the sound alone.
Ever since he was touting that he's Bangkok ready, which was like what, almost 4 or 5 fights ago now, he really has turned it around, and his Muay Thai has come a long way. Just to let our listeners know, I only caught the Arnold Allen and Cater fight, and that there wasn't much of a fight, so I didn't watch any of the rest of the card, which is why I totally forgot about it. And then poor Calvin Cater, that lost.
Yeah, that sucks, dude. That just sucks.
Very, very unfortunate. When you mentioned it, I was like, "What the fuck you?" So yeah, that leaves to talk about the main event, since that's the only one I can.
Trayshawn Gore, that fucking choke was insane.
That's the only fight from the main card that I got wrong on my verdict picks. I picked against Trayshawn Gore. I'm not sure why.
Way it looked, that looks pretty dumb. Roman Dolidze, that was amazing, dude. I'll just say this right now. That guy, that was really cool because he grabbed Haas's leg and just fucking broke his knee like you got a rotisserie chicken and you're breaking the wishbone. You want the wishbone off of it. He did it, and then he's like, "Oh, I just busted his shit. Hey, sorry, let's stand up. Go ahead, stand up." And then he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Stand up, come on." And then he's like, "Okay." Pop, 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 and just beat the fuck out of him and just fucking pieced up that cat. And it was like, now I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you this way. And then he is so imposing, and man, he is a problem, dude. Good call for you. You called it before where it was interesting, and I had heard about him. Georgian fighters always, my ears prick up. Mm-hmm. We know the boys from that area. We got a soft spot for him here.
Something in the water in Georgia.
Yeah, and it was just, man. And then the fact that he boned was it Peter White's wife, like she went into hiding, like,
Cheyenne Valismus, formerly Cheyenne Buys.
I guess they couldn't get a hold of her for like 3 months, and they're like, why can't anyone get a hold of her? And then Buys was like, well, I'll tell you why. And then he just and I was like, and I didn't even know what it was. But I was just on Twitter, and then I was like, "Oh, I want to see that again, like from a different angle, the homie's knee. Like, hopefully that came out." And then I saw a tweet like, "TJ Vice punch in the air right now," and I was like, "Why?" And then I was like, "Oh, that was like that uncanny, like those who don't know, those who know," and it was just like, "Shit, dude, that is messy as fuck."
Very, very, yeah. I had heard about the Cheyenne Buys. Cheyenne Valismus thing, because I'm a little more tuned into WMMA. She had an interview with Mike Heck of MMA Fighting where she kind of talked in circles around their split, and wasn't really like super clear about it, and that already got a lot of people's ears perked up. Like, what are you saying? Yeah. Like, what's really going on? And then that forced JP Buys to just be like, she cheated on me. You're gonna make me come out and say it? She's fucking cheating. And there was a big backlash of all communities. Yeah, missing.
I'll tell you where she's at.
A lot of people were unhappy with Cheyenne Pace, but I did not know that it had anything to do with Roman Dolidze, though. That's some big cocksmith game.
You get a good look at Big Roman, and you're just like, oh, well, old Rome Dog can hit the back walls.
Oh, you think your girl's loyal? Put her in a
that's
room with him.
yeah, yeah. That service is beat, dog. That shit is done. Jesus fucking Christ, that guy is something else, dude. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Good for him, dude. You know what? I'm not even mad. Like, good for him, dude. JP, sorry about that. With a name like JP, that's gonna happen though. So
Yeah, yeah. Don't bring your girl around Roma Delize.
yeah,
Very
Jesus.
impressive win for him, though. And you know what? I saw the just the gif of that finish, and yeah, Phil Haas, man, fucking hell, staring at nothing.
Yeah. Chase Hooper died. Chase Hooper just died.
Is the
That
Chase
was
Hooper
embarrassing.
experiment over?
I hope so for him, because that dude, that
From
should
what I've
not
seen, he's just
happen.
not developing into this fight because I mean he was the Raul Rosas Jr. before Raul Rosas Jr., where he was
Russell
just touted
Jr.
like we got
was, yeah.
this incredibly young guy and you should all tune in because he is young and he might be great. You never know, but
So one thing, and I'll speak from experiences, is like you can't. I'm very odd shaped, like a frog, very light in the ass, and you get to a certain level where you just have to be heavy in the posterior chain. And if you're not this insane boxer or striker, and you're actually your whole thing is keeping guys down so that you can roll and pull them around, you have to be heavy in the ass. When Chase Hooper got up, and you just totally not checking the dude out, but very light in the ass, and it's like, dude, you have to be elite. Like, look at some of the better fighters that we see, just look at their legs, like a Tyron Woodley, and that's a way out. Chase Hooper, Tyron Woodley, not even the same species, but I mean,
right.
you just look at the legs on these guys, and you really have to be built there in the quads, in the core, and he just looks like, I mean, you look at guys like Figueiredo or Brandon Moreno, smaller dudes. Moreno has that nerd, but you look at his build, he has that like everything fucking just fucking is put on him, like bolted on him. Where Chase Hooper just is like, hi, let's fight. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, dude.
Chase Hooper more has the build to be like a high volume offensive grappler, like with
Right.
submission threats, but certainly not to be a controlling like top position, like real bullying position style grappler where he wants to hold you down and keep you there and punish you. It's just yeah. And then aside from that, his instincts in the stand up have never really developed for me. He's just always looked very, very
So
deficient
slow
there.
and plodding, yeah.
And I mean, sure, he's a unitasker. He's a specialist, but
Look at Ben Askren.
that area is not working
Ben
for him.
Askren,
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's just, you got to have something there. Like, and there's nothing. It's just, damn, dude.
yeah. Well, speaking of featherweight, let's touch on that featherweight main event a little bit. Like we said, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. They got into the second round, and Arnold Allen looked terrific in the first round. Like he really looked yeah.
Going back and watching his fights, he's very good.
He's great. Yeah.
He's crispy as fuck. I think we had brought it up, and it makes me sad when we talk about Aspinall, but how well rounded these British guys are, where they're just all everything everywhere. They can do everything, and yeah, man, it makes me sad for Aspinall, but he is so good everywhere. And then he has that like crispy fucking boxing base. That is crispy. And that was, we got robbed of that because Cater's boxing is insane too. And Cater's more super fucking mean, which is I think what led to him getting injured in the first place, because he was going after a very disrespectful like knee.
Yeah, the audacity, right?
Yeah, that was disrespectful, but that's like, you have to be a mean fuck to do that.
Yeah.
And I was really wanting to see these guys start throwing some, but then I was like, man, when's Arnold Allen gonna break his fucking hand? Because I guess he has like really like brittle old lady hands from boxing for so long.
And Calvin Cater is tough as shit and is
Yeah.
not a guy who you're going to put away by traditional
Yeah.
means either. So
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of written in the stars that this happened for Alex. This was like it was a dickhead matchup. It was a necessary matchup for anyone who wants to be a featherweight. You're going to have to fight Cater.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like a dickhead matchup in a way of like, this guy can just, you don't have really too much for him. But he did look amazing though for the short amount of time that they're fighting.
It's especially tough because a lot of people thought that Calvin Cater should have got the win in that Josh Emmett fight. And then this happens to him. So now he's on a 2-fight skid, and it looks bad. But more than anything, like as far as the division itself, it leaves everything kind of just in limbo. And I was the guy in last episode complaining that like, oh, well, why do they have to do this Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev fight now? Like they both have divisions with guys who they could fight, but now at featherweight, there's really
makes sense.
There's really no guy who's like the obvious.
Yair Rodriguez. Let's just throw Arnold Allen in there with Yair. You know what I mean? Don't you think?
Arnold, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I would say like, sure, he looked great in that first round. There's no reason to believe it. Yeah.
Both guys are coming off of injuries within their fight, so they didn't have a ton of fucking output. They didn't take a ton of fucking damage.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get him in there before. I mean, could we get him in there before January? Yair's getting the bitch out and not do it, but I mean, I'm sure Arnold Allen would want to get in there right away
for sure. And he didn't take any significant punishment in that first round either. I would think he should be relatively fresh. He was scheduled for 5 rounds, only went about 1.5. Almost 2 rounds. So that 8. I don't know if that means 8 seconds left or 8 seconds.
He would never admit it. He would want to go out there and get in a war with fucking Calvin Cater and just like show the world how amazing he is. But he is an amazing fighter. He is good. He's beaten like Sadiq Youssef. He's a good fucking fighter. Yeah. So is it like, fuck, I got paid pretty much the same. Probably didn't get a bonus. I got paid pretty much the same. Went through a 5-round fight camp. I'd have no major injuries, I mean, that we know of. I could fight at any time now. I probably won't have to fight through the holidays. I can go through Christmas and New Year's probably without having to get into camp. Like, how much of an awesome that must, deep down he must be like, fuck, that's fucking sick, dude. Fuck.
And he's also a guy who just has a little bit too much self-awareness for his own good, or at least for what this mixed martial arts game calls for, because he really, like, Arnold Allen is not going to be a guy who, after that happens to Calvin Cater, is going to turn into Sean O'Malley in the cage and be like, yep, I beat his ass, give me a title shot. You know what I mean? Like, that would probably do wonders for him. That would probably, well, for most people, it would probably be like, Arnold Allen, you like this isn't you. But yeah, he said it himself. He's like, it's kind of hard to ask for a title shot now with, this isn't the way I wanted to win. Nobody wants to win via injury. So yeah, Yair Reyes is only coming off of 1 win. Yair Rodriguez. Arnold Allen, I'd give it to him, but I think Arnold Allen was smart calling for an interim title fight. I think you do. Because he's not going to get the title shot. They're already doing Volk.
So is that going to be Max?
They probably would, but I really hope that they just do the right thing and do Arnold Allen versus Josh Emmett. Yeah, because Emmett's, you could say that he shouldn't have won that Calvin Cater fight, but it was a close enough fight. Emmett's not a super popular guy. If it helps the UFC sleep at night, I think Arnold Allen should beat Josh Emmett. But that's a close fight too, 19-1 versus 18-2, and it's an interesting style matchup. But there's a very good chance it would be Max Holloway though. I think we got to see what Max Holloway wants to do though. Does he want to go up to lightweight? He was teasing a move up to lightweight. Like
the thing about Arnold Allen and Emmett is, so from the nightmare matchup that Cater was for Arnold Allen, Emmett's almost juxtaposed the opposite, because he throws a real looping shit from his fucking knees, where Allen's very crispy. Like, you try and throw some fucking shit from your knee on a boxer like Arnold Allen, you're gonna catch 2 pieces on the way in. Yeah, straight through the fucking pipe. And Josh Emmett doesn't have the best, tough as fuck, powerful as fuck, looks like Chico from Friday 2. Um, but but uh, really, like a guy like Arnold Allen, who's just straight down the pipe counter puncher extraordinaire, is what really it would really be interesting to see how that works out. I selfishly want to see that fight.
Same. And I mean, just over a month from now at UFC 282 on December 10th, Bryce Mitchell and Ilia Topuria are going to lock horns. Both guys undefeated. So those dudes, at least on Tapology, Bryce Mitchell is sitting at number 11, and Ilia Topuria is, where the hell is Ilia Topuria? You know what? I think he's listed under. I think he's listed under lightweight because the last time he fought at a catch weight. But whoever wins that fight is going to make a big splash into the top 10 for sure. So if I were Arnold Allen, I'd be watching that fight closely, and especially if Ilia Topuria goes out there and just bodies Bryce Mitchell, which I don't think he will, but I think it'll be a good fight. Yeah. Arnold Allen needs to get on the mic and call out Ilia Topuria because that fight is just a banger. That would be an amazing one. And with a win like that, if you were able to get over on Ilia Topuria, you could certainly demand a title shot, or to be one half of any interim title fight at that division. Not that he isn't already, but yeah.
No, exactly. And Mitchell, that was supposed to be this week, right?
That was supposed to be this previous card, actually.
Evloev. Oh, really? I from what I understood, I thought it was supposed to be this one.
Let me take a look. Oh no, Ilia Topuria versus Edson Barboza was supposed to be this previous card. Yeah, you're right. Mitchell versus Movsar Evloev was supposed to be on this coming up card, but that one got rescheduled as well. That one got it's rescheduled for 281. Or is it 282? I just said it, 282. So yeah, that was our little bit of a recap of UFC Fight Night. Allen versus Kattar. Got overshadowed by the boxing card a little bit. But I don't think the UFC was necessarily trying to put their absolute best foot forward in that scenario. But now we move on to Rodriguez versus Lemos. Marina Rodriguez, the surging strawweight contender, faces off against Amanda Lemos, who is coming off of an interesting win over who's I've been kind of like bagging on because of her mixed results over her past 3 fights. She's coming off of a pretty interesting win over Michelle Waterson Gomez, where I thought Michelle Waterson actually won the first round, but she had a really impressive guillotine choke almost out of nowhere to seal the deal there. And then she had that embarrassing standing arm triangle choke loss to Jessica Andrade. And then she had a split decision win over Angela Hill, which was the first red flag for me for Amanda Lemos, because I'm not very high on Angela Hill. I thought she was going to truck her, and she didn't. And going into this fight with Marina Rodriguez, you can almost say the same, because Marina Rodriguez has had mixed results. She has a loss over the current champion. She had a really, really close contested fight with Yan Xiaonan, which a lot of people thought that Yan Xiaonan won. So there's a lot of uncertainty at the top of this strawweight division also, kind of like what we were talking about with featherweight, in terms of okay, you guys have kind of been through the trenches a little bit, and you found yourself here, and now one of you guys is really going to one of you girls is really going to have to make a statement against the other to really make sure that you are next up for a title shot against the winner of Carla Esparza and Yan Xiaonan. I can go into my breakdown. I don't know if you want to give a breakdown or if you want to give.
I got prediction. Marina by decision. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a tough one for me. I'm rooting for Marina Rodriguez. I'm pretty high on her, but I feel like
we both are. I think we've documented it.
True. I think I documented it 2 minutes ago. But I see some stuff in the footwork of Amanda Lemos that I think might give Marina Rodriguez problems. Marina Rodriguez, I like that she picks her shots a bit more wisely. Right. She's not as wild, and she's more measured.
Very crispy boxing. Crispy boxing. I love it. I love that in WMA when you get that. Sad as it, I just don't want to sound like a jerk, but you don't see it. Like Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes. You just don't see the crispy. When you do, see it, it's a treat. So
Yeah, oftentimes even at the highest levels of WMMA, the boxing is pretty bad.
yeah.
Then if there's certainly some standouts, but yeah, it's always great when you see it. There's just a little bit. There's something that I see in the footwork of Amanda Lemos that I think could be a problem, because I think Marina Rodriguez fights very flat-footed, and
Okay.
Amanda Lemos doesn't have too many faults aside from the fact that I think she could fight pretty reckless at times. And probably doesn't really adjust her game plan when she's down in the cards. It's something I picked up on from the Angela Hill fight. But what she does really well is she's really good at skirting out of the pocket and just sliding out. And it's not great because she moves in a straight line backwards, which isn't something I would recommend any fighter to do.
Any fighter to do that, yeah.
But when she's going up against Marina Rodriguez, who doesn't really offer any counter footwork that's going to make her pay for that, I see Amanda Lemos getting out of the way of a lot of the strikes that are going to matter for Marina Rodriguez. So I think the key for victory here for Marina is to close the distance and to fight from the clinch a bit more, if that presents itself and if that is a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that it would behoove Marina Rodriguez to put her on the cage and punish her there, where it might be a little bit of a stalemate, because I don't think that Amanda Lemos is necessarily bad in the clinch. But I think that she has a few things that could give Marina Rodriguez problems in the stand-up with the footwork and the distance. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot else to break down. I think if that doesn't present itself as an issue...
I need to check it, but has Lemos made it into the United States yet? Because like all that, I guess that some crazy shit is happening with the election over there in Brazil, and it was hard for her to get a flight here. And as of I had checked at like 6 p.m. California time, and she hadn't made it onto a flight yet. And
as far as I'm aware, her and Poliana Viana are still stuck in Brazil.
Yeah, we're working on Wednesday now, that's kind of a and then like you can think about it, like soon. There's like a civil war going on in like one of the biggest South American countries in the world. Kind of rough to like have that on your head. Are you even going to be able to get there? What's that? So if these guys can get here and really like put it aside and come out and fight the way, even to like their own level, high expectation, because they're amazing fighters, most of those guys. So if they could get to that point, that's achievement in and of itself, for me, because that was rough news for me to hear. That was like, dang, really? They should be here chilling in the bed, getting in the sauna, kind of like feeling out, feeling things out,
Really good point, and I actually forgot about that detail. And a good thing to bring up about like that being tough to hear for the fighters. And as I'm looking at this card now, I'm going up and down the card. The only fighters from Brazil on this card are in the main event, Marina and Lemos, and then also Poliana, and the opener, Tamires Vidal. So yeah, it's just all only WMMA fighters from Brazil on this card.
And Marina's out here though, like
she's been here. Yeah,
she's basically been out here. So.
But yeah, a lot of unrest in Brazil right now at the election results with the Bolsonaro truthers who refuse to accept that he lost the election. They're blocking roads and stuff like that. And I was watching a little bit of that on Poliana Viana's IG story, where she couldn't get to she was like stuck in gridlock traffic. She couldn't get to the airport and missed her flight. So their plan is to fly them out sometime later this week. And that could potentially be an issue for Amanda Lemos in this fight too, that I hadn't actually factored into how that would affect the fight. I was more worried that the fight just wouldn't happen,
and it's a 5-round fight.
Yes.
So that's like, goddamn.
Okay, just pick Marina Rodriguez. I'm going to go ahead and revise. I was going to ultimately
said Rodriguez by decision. Go right ahead and just lock that in.
Good call. I was still going to settle on Marina Rodriguez, but I think that's even much more of a lock now.
Yeah.
Sucks, but co-main event, Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez. Dude, Daniel Rodriguez with a really quick turnaround. He last fought in September of this year against Li Jingliang. And then we all know.
Went the full distance, too, though.
Yes, very, very close contested fight. A little bit of controversy. A lot of people think Li Jingliang won that fight, but certainly a close fight.
He won my heart. That's for sure.
He certainly did. And then, of course, on the other side of the cage, we know Neil Magny coming off of his sacrificial loss to our darling Shavkat Rakhmonov. Neil Magny's coming to this fight at 26-9. Daniel Rodriguez sits at 17-2. I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Well, I already let you go first on the Rodriguez-Lemos fight, but that was a pretty fast prediction.
No, I'm going to take Neil Magny because before the Rachmaninoff fight, what we say all the time, what everybody seems to say now is true, there is no chance anyway. But Neil Magny he's like that Jeff Neal type of guy where it's just like, oh, fuck, that's right, Neil fucking Magny. So for me, I like D-Rod quite a bit, but and then it was such a weird, like, can you really even take that into consideration, the Li Jingliang fight, just the quick turnaround, the weirdness of the card, just no chance to really fucking game plan, no chance to really, so it was basically like a workout, and then he fought a guy who's much smaller than him, so it's so hard to really, to kind of put that into perspective of, how that affected him, if it even did. But I just think Neil Magny, with the athleticism that he has, just a lot more. There's just a lot more options to end the fight from Neil Magny. I think is what really carries me over into like being confident in him getting the victory there.
I'm going to agree. I've been pretty much, as soon as this fight got booked, Neil Magny just it's not going to be pretty. Very few Neil Magny fights are. But he's a guy who comes in and builds a game plan around his opponent's weaknesses. And a lot of times that involves using that height to put them in the clinch and kind of control them from there.
He's professional as fuck. This is who I am.
He was the guy who was calling out Shavkat Rakhmonov not Shavkat, Khamzat Chimaev longer than anyone. And then when he didn't get that fight with that boogeyman in that division, he fought the other boogeyman in the division in Shavkat. So, I think the experience, his strength of schedule, the guys that he's fought, all kind of put the edge over Daniel Rodriguez. And in truth, I wasn't super impressed with Daniel. And like you said, we got to take it with a grain of salt. There's an asterisk on that because it was a very light change up in that fight with Li Jingliang. But when that fight got made, I was switching to Daniel Rodriguez. I kind of thought Daniel Rodriguez was going to get the better of all that chaos. But I just don't really see the tools that Daniel Rodriguez has that's going to give him the edge over Neil Magny. I mean, he's got the power. He's got competent, solid boxing. But we've seen Neil Magny deal with that from better boxers. And I'm looking at their records now to look for common opponents, and they both fought Li Jingliang. They both have wins over Li Jingliang. Decision, not a whole lot we can draw from that. I think it's mostly going to be the veteranship and the experience factor that's really going to put Neil Magny over here. 100%. At 26-9 versus 17-1. I mean, both of them have respectable records. Neither of them are starters in this sport. By any stretch of the imagination, but I think that's going to make a big difference for sure.
I think it's just a strength of schedule thing for me, because you look at the 10 losses that Neil Magny has, and it probably gives you a pause. But look who he's fucking fought. I mean, he's fought fucking savages, and he's been in there with some of the best. He's had some. He trains with the really good fighters. From what I understand, he's the type of guy that he gets called in to train up, or he gets called in for guys' camps to help. So he's been through some wars. He's been in there with like some of the better fighters in the promotion. So I just don't think Daniel Rodriguez, for as good as he is really gonna do much to, I just don't think he has much for Neil Magny. So.
Yeah, you mentioned the strength of schedule. I'm looking at his record now. You see the Demian Maias, Kelvin Gastelum, Hector Lombard, Lorenz Larkin, Johnny Hendricks, Rafael dos Anjos, Carlos Condit, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Robbie Lawler, Mike Chiesa.
When Pons was Pons, that's like Ponzinibbio isn't the same as he used to be, but he was a fucking animal at one point.
2018 Ponzinibbio. Jeff Hands of Steel Neal. I remembered to say his whole name this time.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Well, that concludes this episode of the Fight Plan.
The music just playing us out.
Yeah. I don't have breakdowns for these following fights, but I will tell the listeners to not miss the Mark Madsen versus Grant Dawson fight. And then
Ulanbekov is interesting to me. I like that guy.
Ulanbekov, he's fighting Nate. Is it Menes?
Yeah, Nathaniel Menes.
Nate Menes. So on your recommendation, I'll be paying attention to that one. I'll be watching the Jinyu Farai versus Polyana Viana fight closely, and there's some interest in the Miranda Maverick versus Shanna Young fight for me too.
Carlos Candelario is fighting Hadley, I believe, and Candelario, the guy that we were talking about, he fought Tatsuro Taira.
Yes,
and he made him look pretty. I don't want to say pedestrian, but he gave him everything, like a super hands, put his hands full, and but Hadley's a good prospect, and I think Hadley will win. But that's a good one to watch, especially early on. If you're just chilling at the house and you're not really watching college football, that'd be a good one to watch.
You heard the man. So those are our picks for UFC Fight Night: Rodriguez versus Lemos, and after that, what's next on the schedule? Thinking out loud here when I should know when the next pay-per-view card is. When is 281? November 5th? No, this weekend. The 12th.
Carlos Esparza, let's go. Can't wait.
I saw that the UFC blessed us with the free fight, the relevant free fight on YouTube coming up. They finally dropped the banger, Rose versus Carla 2. Oh, I'm sure that's going to get a lot of traffic on YouTube.
You guys haven't seen it. What have you been doing?
And then come back and let us know what you thought about it in the comments of this video. And while you're there, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any of our content. The song on the outro is "Stop Giving Away" by Macondo. I always forget to mention they let us use their song. I'm going to go ahead and do the outro here, unless you have anything else to add, Brandon.
No, nothing. All right. Thank you so much for the 49ers. The 49ers intro. I appreciate that. Thank you.
As long as I have 49ers on my fantasy team, I'll give you a chance to talk about them every week.
No problem, man.
All right, folks. We'll see you guys next time on the next episode of The Fight Plug. Good night.